Hi, my name is Maria Levy Pabst, and I help parents reclaim their time and energy using systems. So I wanted to jump on here today to talk a little bit about my actual planner. I just finished a workshop last week called The Organized Parent, where I share the 4-part Organized Parent system that I teach as part of how to manage the mental load. And in that workshop, we got really into all the pieces of the Organized Parent, the project sheets, the brain dump, the inbox, all those pieces. And as usual, it always happens with this workshop, I have a lot of participants asking me, well, how do I set this up? Like, what are the tools? And I make a really important point in the workshop and everywhere else, including here. There's a difference between the system you use and the tools. So the Organized Parent is a system. It's a very clear system for taking out the mental load, the remembering, noticing, planning we all do, and put it into a system that will keep track of that work for you so that you can focus your mental energy on what's in front of you. However, the tools you use in that system are really personal. So I'll just share, for example, I've used tools like Evernote. I've used tools like Todoist. I've used tools like a planner I bought, like a cute planner, because it's more fun with cute office supplies, right? Everything's more fun with cute office supplies. I've used all kinds of different tools to track my projects, track my to-do list, track my dates, and so on. And so what I'm going to share with you today is just one of the tools, and I want to emphasize this. I'm sharing this tool as just one example of a tool you can use. All the parts I'm going to share with you today are actual parts of the Organized Parent system. But you don't have to have, in my case, a bullet journal or a notebook to use these tools. You could absolutely do them in a memo on your phone, in a Google Doc, in Evernote, in a million other ways. But I just want to share one tool because I know how helpful it can be to have a tool as an example. All right, so with that in mind, the Organized Parent starts with getting it all out of your head. That's the step one, is to get all out of your head, get all the pieces out of your head. And I have participants in my workshop to do a brain dump live in the workshop. You can also have an inbox, which is a system where you just a place to record stuff that comes up. And so I used to, and sometimes still do, use a memo note on my phone as an inbox. But another thing I have as an inbox is one of my notebooks. So it's a smaller notebook. I actually call it the scratch pad. So you can see that's the scratch pad. And I carry it with me. It's with me 90% of the time, like in a bag or in a backpack or in a work bag. And here's an example of my inbox, a place where I list all the incoming remembering and noticing and thoughts I have that are coming into my brain space, and I want a place to put them. That's my inbox. So inbox right now is literally just that piece of paper in this notebook. So that's my inbox. And then what I do is I take that, and maybe once a day or once every other day, I take my inbox and put it in to the actual Organized Parent system, where I'm starting to name things and then sort them into the proper place. So one of the most important parts of the Organized Parent system is the projects. And a project is anything you have on your list or in your brain that takes more than one action step or isn't really totally completable, right? So like, think about a family vacation is not an action step. It's a project. You have to think about it, you have to research it, you have to read stuff. So this idea of a project being multiple steps and maybe involves some ideas in the thinking that aren't actionable. So I have my participants in the Organized Parent create project sheets. And just an example, I'm just going to show you an example of a project sheet in the back of my bullet journal. So I have I think it's lithium. I don't even know how to say it. It's the really cute hardback bullet journal. Again, cute office supplies make life great. And what I do is I just put my project sheets in the back. So I start from the back of my bullet journal and just start adding projects throughout the time I'm using it. So here's an example of a project sheet. So this one is for my daughter's birthday. So it's already ended. You'll see in the corner here, there's an X there. That just means it's a project that's done. I don't need to revisit it. But it has spots for action steps, like the next actions I have to take. And also it has spots for notes and ideas and stuff that comes up and like additional lists, like grocery lists and stuff like that. So I store my projects in the back of my bullet journal, which I'm pretty sure goes against some rules in bullet journaling, but I don't care because I'm using a system that works for me. And so in bullet journaling, there's also a monthly spread that a lot of folks use. I've played around with it. I've done different ones. I probably will continue to do different ones. Right now I have one that basically lays out my days. I don't have a lot on my calendar that are big events, so I just have like very small space to write in my calendar. But here's the thing I want to share. If you use the Organized Parent system, we talk about next actions list, right? And sometimes we talk about next actions list being a to-do list for today, and sometimes it's a to-do list for the week. I actually have a monthly one. I'm going to show it to you, then I'll talk about it. So there's my tasks for the month. So what I put there is I start the month, I list all the tasks for the month that I already know about. So stuff that's been in my inbox that needs to get moved over, stuff that are from my projects, certain action steps from projects, those get put there. So that's my to-do list for the month. As new stuff comes up, let's say today is Wednesday, I get something today that I don't have to do today, but I have to do it at some point before the end of September, I'm gonna put it there. I also have a spot to put future tasks. So this is where I can put things that maybe come in my inbox that I don't do in September, but I'll need to pay attention to in October. So I don't want to hold them until then. I don't want to use that brain space. So I'm going to put them here, my future tasks. And then finally, you'll also see I have a list here for projects. So what I do is I choose 1 or 2 projects to focus on for the month for home. For work, it's different. I have like 6 or 7 projects going at once. But for home, 1 or 2 projects that I focus on for the month. The rest, I don't even look at until the next month. And that's an important part with the organized parent system. When I have people set up projects, often the first time you do this, you end up with a lot of projects. You might have 10 or 15 projects that are all over the place. The trick is to then pick 1 or 2 that you're going to focus on one chunk at a time. It could be 1 week at a time or 1 month at a time. I do it by month. All right, and then the very last thing I'm going to show you is the weekly spread. Again, the weekly spread is part of the bullet journal. Some people do a weekly spread and a daily spread. I combine them. And again, the beautiful part of bullet journaling is that you can set it up how you want. The downside of bullet journaling is sometimes you get sucked down the Pinterest rabbit hole. So I'll just be clear. My bullet journal is not Pinterest worthy. That's why I don't go on Pinterest. But it's a very simple way to put the organized parent system into this bullet journal tool. So I have a weekly spread. I'll let you look at that. So pretty basic. It's got all the days of the week. I have smaller days for the weekends. And every day I just go on and I list the things I want to get done that day. And what I have is my next actions list. So if you do the organized parent, I make you do a next actions list. I have a next actions list for the week right here. And then what I do is I use that every day and just say, what are the few things I'm going to get done today? And that goes in my daily spread. So that was just sort of a quick overview of one tool that I use, or that can be used to put the organized parent system into effect. Bullet journaling I found to be really enjoyable and fun, but like I said, I also can get sucked down the Pinterest bullet journaling rabbit hole. So I really encourage you, whatever tools you like best. If you're somebody who likes pen and paper, rock on. If you're somebody who's mobile a lot, needs an app that will go on whatever device you have in front of you, that's great. Whatever tool you use, think of it as a tool that you can use and that you can change. The system is what stays the same. So if you're following the organized parent system, you're getting it out of your head, naming it, sorting it, doing it. And if you've taken my workshop, you know what that means. If you've read my materials, you probably know what that means. But whatever that is, that's your system. That stays consistent. I have used the organized parent system in my bullet journal, but I've also used it with Evernote. I've also used it with other planners. I've also used it with Swipes app. So many options. I've used it with Google Docs. The system stays the same, even if your tools are made the same. So it'd be great. It's a long video. I hope you enjoyed it. And I'd love to hear in the comments, what are some of the tools that you use if you're using an organizational system like the Organized Parent? What are some of the tools you use? Not the system part, but just like literally, where do you write down your projects? Where do you write down your to-do list? I'd love to hear in the comments. Thanks so much for watching.